But it's okay, because the people of this country know it. We're doing great. We've never done better. People understand it. People, normally that would be a negative, but for us it's a positive, because people, they get it. They need to do that in order to win, because they've done nothing else. They have a bad everything about them. Think of one thing that's better. You look at the Afghanistan disaster, you look at the border, you look at the economy, the real economy, not the fake economy. Everything they touch turns to what? You shouldn't use that kind of language. Look. You can't use the word shit, okay? That's like Christie. You know Chris Christie. Does anybody like Chris Christie? Good. So I was in New Hampshire, and he was fighting. You know, he's like totally unhinged. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. I would say he was a major case of Trump derangement syndrome. But he was in there, and somebody from the front row said, "Sir, he's a fat pig." And I said, but nobody heard. The person was a nice person, but said I said, "You cannot call Chris Christie a fat pig. You cannot do that. Please, sir, if you call him a fat pig once more, I'm going to have you leave the arena." And the guy didn't know what was happening. I said, "Don't worry about it. I'm only kidding." You know. But I said, you cannot call him a fat pig, because you're not allowed to use the fat word. You know, you can use almost any word, but you can't use the fat word. It's career ending. If you call somebody fat, it's career ending. We're all fat. Except for Lawrence Taylor and OJ, they're not fat. They're not fat. They sure as hell weren't fat when they played football, were they, huh? What do you think? I don't think so. Oh, they're great guys. So we're going to terminate the Green New scam. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get our energy way down. Don't forget, that's what caused inflation. He let energy get out of hand, and it went to $100 a barrel. And now Putin also said, Putin would have never done that with Ukraine. But Putin now says, oh, man, at 100, he can spend a fortune on the war. If he kept it at $40 a barrel, Putin wouldn't have been able to do that. But Russia's made a fortune in this war, because this man that we have that doesn't know what he's doing has allowed energy. And right now it's getting close to $100 a barrel again. You're not going to end the war unless you bring down the price of oil. But he doesn't understand that. And it's so simple. But Putin, that would have never happened. If you look at you take a look at President Xi of China, talking about Beijing. Now, they've got ships circling, they have planes, but they never were doing anything. President Xi of China with Taiwan, and I said, if you do that, it's going to be so bad for Beijing. You don't want to do that. It's going to be so bad for Beijing. He said, but what do you mean by that? You have to think about that. You're going to have to think about that. Don't do it. And he would never have done it. Let's see what he does. But, boy, they have ships circling Taiwan at levels that they've never had. They have planes. It's not very comfortable to be living right now in Taiwan. And so Russia wouldn't happen. That wouldn't have happened. And you know what wouldn't have happened? The attack on Israel on October 7th would not have happened. It would not have happened. But you won't have, getting back to our wonderful area that we love, you won't have to worry about Governor Murphy's 157 windmills. And you know, one of the best fighters on that is Congressman Van Drew. He has fought so hard. I don't know, he's around here someplace. There's nobody that fought that. Right over there, you'll see these things all over the place. They destroy everything. They're horrible, and the most expensive energy there is. They ruin the environment. They kill the birds. They kill the whales. But are the ocean floor surveys for their construction that are causing tremendous problems with the fish and the whales and everything else? Nobody even knows what it is, but I think in 20 years, one whale washed up on shore, and then where they have these things, they come up all the time, dead. They come up ashore, yeah, he said, they remind him of Chris Christie. What the hell are you doing? This can only happen in New Jersey, right, Jeff? Could only happen in New Jersey. The electricity cost, it's the highest in the country. That's what you've got. We are going to make sure that that ends on day one. I'm going to write it out in an executive order. It's going to end on day one. But unfortunately, the Democrats in New Jersey have embraced Joe Biden's radical pro-China plan to eliminate gas-powered cars and trucks. Can you believe it? And force everyone into ultra-expensive electric vehicles that don't go far. I always say they have a couple of problems. They're too expensive, they're going to be made in China, and they don't go far. Other than that, I think they're wonderful. On day one, I will immediately terminate Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate, and there will be no ban on gas cars and gas trucks in the Garden State. There will be no ban anywhere in the United States of America on gas. You can buy electric if you want. You can buy gas. You can buy whatever you want, and that's the way it should be. It was announced last night that Biden finally listened to me. He listens to me. You know, he does a lot of things. He listens he's about 4 years late. But he says he's going to put a 100% tariff on all Chinese electric vehicles. Isn't that nice? Should have done this 4 years ago, but Biden is not going to put this tariff on their gasoline-powered cars or any of the other products. You have to put it on other cars also, not just the electric cars, because he's trying to make them work. You know, the subsidy that they're paying to the people, the subsidy they pay to people and to these auto companies, and you have hundreds of thousands of electric cars that are all over the country. I think you can buy them probably cheap if you want them, but they're forcing them on you and you can't do it. It's supply and demand. People don't want them. And some people do, and the people that do should buy an electric car. I think they're fine. I think they're good. I think Elon, he's a friend of mine, he does a good job, but not everybody should have one. If you want to take a nice trip from, let's say, New Jersey, and you want to go and visit me at the White House in a little while, don't go buy an electric car. You won't make it. Don't go buy an electric car. If you want to drive down to Palm Beach, Florida, and see me and play a round of golf with me, I'd love to do it, but don't take an electric car because you'll make about 10 stops. Because you'll be very late. Your tea time will be long expired. But why did he do this years ago? It's only a ploy to get beyond the election, and then everything will come crashing down because they're original. You know, one thing I've learned about politicians, and I've dealt with them for a long time, when a politician comes out with a policy and then they run in an election and they go back and say what they have to say to get elected, they always go back to that original policy. And you know what this guy's policies are. They are bad. They are really bad. And the funny thing and the sad thing is he really never changed. He goes through, like, who the hell would keep an open border? Because I think it's killing him in the election. Now, I may be wrong. Maybe this is a great political thing, to have millions of prisoners and mental institution people come in. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe I don't understand. Maybe we all don't. Is there anything good about that politically? Is there anything good about high mortgage rates and high taxes? Your taxes are going to go up 4 times if this lunatic is elected. It's going to go up 4 times. And by the way, I have to say this. I have great respect for the office of the presidency. I never used to talk about Biden this way until he did something that you can't do. He indicted a very popular president. I mean, I was very popular. I got more votes than any other president in history. You know that. I got more votes than any other sitting president in history. On made-up charges and nonsense. You see what's going on, all nonsense. And you got local DAs doing it, but the local DAs are run out of Washington and they're having meetings in Washington. They'll do anything to win. They think that that's going to win. It's not going to win, and it's really backfired. In fact, I heard they were going to do a couple of other things, and they said from Washington, don't do it, please don't do it. We're indicting him into the White House. He's going to be indicted into the White House. They said, don't do it. But I have to tell you, though, I was and am in awe of the office. I think it's one of the great places, great institutions, so important. But I have great respect for the office of the president, for the presidency of the United States. And I used to talk about him like a politician would talk. I'd say he's not doing a good job on taxes. He's not doing a good job on many, many things. Look at Afghanistan, was such a disaster, most embarrassing moment. But I talk about it as a politician would talk about another politician. And now he did something that shouldn't have been done. I got indicted 4 times in a period of about 3 seconds. Anytime there's a plane that flies over, if my plane flies over a blue state, the following day I get subpoenaed to go before a grand jury, okay? No, he did something you don't do. You do that in third world countries and banana republics. It's not like it's unknown, and probably in many cases it's very effective, but they do it in banana republics. We never did it here. I could have pressed Hillary a lot harder. You know, she broke up her phones, she broke them up, she acid washed them. Bit bleach, right? Bit bleach. Nobody even knows what it is, so expensive. But I really thought, you know what, you got to have a country. But I'll tell you what he did was just not something that should ever be done, especially in the way when they make up stuff. You read this crap. Why didn't they do it 9 years ago, as an example? Or 8 years ago? They could have done it many, many years ago. And they waited till the election. They waited right into the middle of the election. They even waited actually to see how I was doing. And in all fairness, I was #1 throughout the entire process. We did not have a hard time. You know, we got it in record time. Did you know that? We got it in record time. It was the fastest anybody has ever gotten a nomination, I think, from either party. The fastest. We had, normally, if it was a normal thing, I'd be campaigning right now to try and get it, but we won it 2 months ago, and nobody's ever done it with that speed. That means you like me. You don't do that to your opponent. You don't do that to your political opponent. It's done in third world countries. It's done in banana republic. It's not done in the United States of America. So then I said, well, now I'm able to speak freely. And that's when I call him the most grossly incompetent man in government, the worst president ever of any country. The whole world is laughing at him. He's a fool. He's not a smart man. He never was. In prime time, he was considered stupid. I talk about him differently now because now the gloves are off. He's a bad guy. Should have never done that because it's so bad for our country. Should have never done it. But again, I'll say it for the second time. He's by far the worst president in the history of our country. You could take, I used to say 5, now I say 10, right? I used to say, I think I'm going to make it 15. You could take the 10 worst presidents in the history of our country, add them up. The worst presidents, take them. Give me the 10 worst names. They haven't done the damage to our country that this total moron has done.